Yes, the fact that our Supremes have called this consent, allow me to talk about consent into my personal understanding and research. I am going to church. It's a Sunday morning here in Uganda, and I'm gonna fellowship in Seguku Worship Center. Yesu akwagala. I expect never to see Stephen again due to smally attitude he got after distributing welfares sent by the dawn to be received by people of the mission, and distributing welfares to child molesters, gay men, drug users, etc. And witch doctors also have got a lot of our welfares from Mayanja Stephen Damulira. We can assure the world that this gentleman is put upon himself a European attitude, indeed, that is to harass black Africans that terrible. And whenever you see Stephen Mayanja Damulira in America, United States of America, just know he chose to torment black Africans like white Germans do. Because when you look into Stephen Mayanja Damulira's friends, you're gonna find out that these are strictly German related and German oriented people in America. So to term this theft as a consent payment, let me also talk about consentism. The more we let, the more consents get foundations. Unless relationships has got results, unless relationships have got results, then consents must have foundations. But I am talking about consent as our missionaries robbed our welfares with our supreme leader, and they termed their robbery as consent payment. I mean, who pays consent to who? It's like I don't understand what the term consent payment means. But I appeal to the public of the world that the more we respect humanity, the more we respect humanity, the more we pay consent to each other. And indeed, it's a big responsibility, and it is much responsible if anybody pays consent to people who have made them. But if consent comes in with robbery, I am talking about consent to Europe, because our missionaries, we think they owed rendezvous money, and they got paid back, so they wanted a consent of their owing money. to rendezvous work here in Africa. So when rendezvous passed out, they said whatever they are robbing here at the mission, they are paying consent to the rest of the people. And if consent means payment, indeed, it's not what they have done. That means it is from the right source to the right destination. Consent must be paid willingly. A lady like a family like that of Eastleigh and Gary, which is when they are all druggish all together and they are all into dubiousism games today on earth, they can't rob our property with Stephen Damulira and call this consent payment. What have they done to us all in order to rob our property and accept what they have robbed as their consent payment? It is indeed super crazy. A man like Easterly to rob our property right to our springs, that it is consent we pay to them to come to Africa. How come they even seek consent payment? It is indeed druggish what they have done. It is under a cocaine, heroin temple wave. Indeed. Look what Easterly's shaky attitude, shaky body. There is no symptom like that of coke. That is the main symptom which occurs to every cocaine user. And his shaky body tells the world how deep David Easterly is into drugs of cocaine and heroin. He can't rob our money and call this robbery is made a consent payment to them missionaries. How much have they offered out here? There are reasons why people pay consent. There are levels why people pay consent. There are waves why people pay consent. There are types of actions people lean onto to pay consent. Consent, it is something gentle. You cannot talk about consent payment and pay it to people who are dragged bad, people who have played it badass to quiet people in the land, to welcoming communities, people who have played it evil. I tell the world that Lisa Nevata is played it evil to this kid he raped, that this kid will not make it through. I appeal to the world. This team which is robbed welfares here in Uganda, East Africa, it is played it bad to steal welfares. Call it paying consent. Why do you join missionary society, yet you wish people you're gonna meet into a missionary exercise pay you consent? I mean, you better don't come if you think of Africans paying you consently. if you can feel that me to travel to Africa, then Africans must pay consent of me. It is that mad crazy. I appeal to the rest of the world viewing my lots and different channels of social media that it is not consent payment that David Eastley, Denise Cook, Keith Johnson, Mr. Gary, David Eastley, Dan Hammer, Miss Adams, Jack Hartman, that is the hood which has obtained our welfares, call it consent payment. And I appeal to the missionary society that this hood which is robbed welfares here, it is termed it as a consent payment to them. When we've not accepted, they have robbed and told everyone how we've paid consent to Brenda, the piglet. I am sure that her attitude of piggish will not wither unless she's denounced all over the world. Her gluttoned behavior cannot wither unless she's denounced louder. She went on, told my white friend in Seattle that they have considered the theft they have done here as a consent payment. It is crazy mad. Her drugs to be connected to our welfares, so let them enjoy eating. Call their robbery a consent payment. I understand that the far have dealt in study and the far have dealt into research. When I reached about the term consent payment, it is not usual. I did not usually find consent payment in the biblical text. It was not usual. It is not usual into biblical context. Consent payments were not happening into biblical times, because I did not find consent payment 7 times into 66 books of the Bible. I looked for consent payments into 66 books of the Bible, just 70 times to confirm to the world that consent payment is biblical. Yes, I appeal to the world that this robbery team of Seattle, Washington, in the names I have mentioned, has termed this as consent payment due to the drugs they do here and drugs they have been dealing here. Look what a man called Mr. Gary, a tycoon. Could we think he owed Ron money? Let us go deep into their relationship with Ron. How come Ron has passed out, then Gary comes upon our welfares, call them consent payment? Who invited Gary to come? Who is supposed to pay consent to missionaries as they travel all over the world to do missionary exercises or missionary practices or missionary jobs? Who offers missionary, who offers to these guys missionary tasks? To rob property, to rob, do whatever they want, call it consent. Run to badass houses in Seattle, Washington. Me, I'm still on you, gentlemen. What you've done in Africa, Uganda, all of you, it is not consent payment. You've just gone idiots. You've just gone idiots due to drugs you carry and drugs you do. Cocaine, it is not for human use. I appeal to the world of drugs. You'll never offer coke for health. I appeal to whoever offers such a drug to anybody. You'll never offer such a drug for health, but such a drug is not for human consumption. We appeal to the world of healthy representatives that this drugged hood of Seattle is robbed welfare here, called their robbery as consent payment. It is crazy and mad for such drug users and drug addicts like Easterly. His shaky body all is caused by cocaine drugs he does undercover. His bad element always comes out when he's drugged out bad. His bad element came out on a girl here in Bible school. Terribly harassed the girl. They flew together to Sudan, southern Sudan. I understand what consent payment is. And consent payment, we children in Africa, we pay consent to our parents for life. Yeah, that's why you see African parents brag on their children heavily into wealth, into property, into etc., authority, relationships, etc. They take it braggily of any kind because they know the cost they have paid, to make their children, the cost they have paid, the cost communities have paid to make us make it. Me, I reached an extent I could not get enough cloth, and my neighbor offered me shirts, and another neighbor offered me a shoe. A neighbor behind our house offered me a belt. You see, a community has made me. So I pay consent to whoever because I recognized their input on me. Then I appeal to the missionary society that this robbery hood is called it consent. We are paying unwillingly. I appeal to the law enforcement of the United States of America and the White House as large and the Supreme Court of the United States of America. This robbery team dragged by cocaine cannot call their robbery a consent payment. What are we paying consent to? Who invited Easterly into missionary tasks to rob our property? Call his robbery a consent payment. What are we paying for? What have they offered to us? It cannot be consent payment. This is robbery due to heavy drugged people with complications of hard drugs like cocaine and heroin tembo. Thank you very much.